Hi everyone, it's Summer. So, for my UDL guideline, I chose to do self regulation. So, to give a little overview on what that is, the three checkpoints are to promote expectations and beliefs that optimize motivation, facilitate personal coping skills and strategies, and then develop self assessment and reflection. So, the tool that I found most useful for this would be this site called understood.org. And just to give you some little resources and a little tour of the site. So, the site is geared toward learning and attention issues. They are backed by 15 different nonprofit organizations. So, some ones that are going to sound very familiar is like the LDA, which is the Learning Disabilities Association of America, National Learning Center for Learning Disabilities, and then the Child Mind Institute. Those are just three that I thought would stand out that we've definitely heard before. This site has some of the tabs they have are learning and attention issues. So this just has like personal stories, types of issues, signs and symptoms. They have school and learning, and they have a tab down here that is for educators. And they also have assistive technology, which I thought was very interesting because I have not seen that on many different sites. And then they have friends and feelings, so just doing different social situations that I know for some children with learning disabilities and attention issues is definitely challenging. And then they have like family things for the family, and then they also have like experts live groups and blogs. What's great about this site is that it's for parents and teachers alike, so this definitely could be used by anyone. And they also offer English and Espanol, so Spanish. So I thought that's super interesting, especially if you work in a school that has a lot of Spanish speaking like families, and you need like to give your parents this site. I think it's nice that they have it in Spanish. So if we're gonna talk about the UDL, so the first checkpoint they talk about is like promoting the expectations and beliefs that optimize motivation and then facilitate personal coping skills and strategies. So, this website, one of the pages they talk about and one of the things they help with is developing coping skills. So, children are not born with coping skills, they have to be taught. I think that teachers and parents can be both great reinforcers in helping teaching these coping skills. So some of the tips that they give is like give words to feelings. So, a child, they need to be taught like what words to use. How you say, how are you feeling right now? And then offer words like mad, sad, frustrated. And obviously go over a time when you can talk about what frustrated means or what anxious means. Because most kids might not know what that means. Another thing they talk about is find the child's triggers. So every child has different triggers, and the triggers are different for every child. So knowing what those triggers are can help you in the long run, like knowing how to combat them. And finding them out sooner is better than later. That way you can work on it throughout the year instead of like finally figuring it out halfway through the year what's going on. And then stick with what the child loves. So if they're upset, then find out like things that make them calm, like help them calm down. I know in a lot of classrooms they have like those little like calming corners where there's like bean bags or like a tent, and then just some like squishy like stuff and stress balls and stuff like that. So they definitely recommend like calming activities. And helping them find out what calms them down is a great coping mechanism. A nice thing this site also offers is tips for different grades. So you have your elementary, your middle school, and your high school. So that definitely helps for whatever grade you decide you want to teach. And then be present, understanding. Just like the child knows that you're there, that you're listening to them, and helping them through the problem. And then also seek help when you need it. Obviously, no one's perfect, and sometimes we need help ourselves. So For a teacher, you may go to like the school counselor, school social worker, even the parent, and asking them what helps at home, what they've noticed, um, which will really help you out in the classroom. So if we go to the site and we click on the first checkpoint, one of the big bullets is provide prompts, reminders, guides, rubrics, and checklists that focus on like on-task orientation, reducing the frequency of aggressive outbursts, and responsive frustration. So when you go back to the site and they talk about the triggers, finding the triggers, they offer this link. So the site offers a picture schedule, and all of this is free. You don't have to pay for any of it, and they have a bunch of ones you can download. Obviously, there's not one for in school, but definitely you could make one. It helps children like who have trouble with organization stay on top of routines, and they feel more confident. For kids, I think the picture schedule is easier to follow, less overwhelming than a written schedule. Obviously, for maybe upper middle school and high school, you're going to use that written schedule just because they're older and they don't need the pictures. If a child knows what's coming next, they're less likely to get frustrated. Just because they know, okay, in 5 minutes recess is ending, or in 5 minutes we are switching activities, so they can prepare themselves to know that they are switching, and it's not just like randomly like put on them. Like they know what's coming next. And also, if you refer to the schedule and they do miss a step, it helps them make the correction and much easier for them to accept the correction. So that's one of the things they talked about that would help kids. That goes with the UDL guideline. If we go back to the guidelines, they also talk about self-assessment and reflection. So display data for their own behavior for the purpose of monitoring changes in those behaviors. One of the things that the site also offers is a behavior contract. Obviously, you also saw that they had a homework contract too. So this is great because first off, it offers one for younger kids, and then tweens and teens, and then a blank one. Obviously, as a teacher, you're not going to do parent-child, you're going to do teacher-student. I would also highly recommend getting your parents involved in this just because it's just so everyone's on the same page, and the parents can help back you up at home and help them follow through when they're at home and not at school. So these behavior contracts, they help children who have trouble with like frustration, self-control, inappropriate behavior, and stuff like that. So having this contract, you can put down, as you can see, you have goals. So that gives your child goals to focus on, and then you can develop rewards for when you meet the goal. And then obviously make new goals. And then talk about consequences or what to do if you don't meet that goal. I think for older students, definitely they can self-reflect by themselves and then come to you and you guys can talk it out. For younger children, it's going to be harder for them to self-reflect because they don't have that skill yet. So sitting down together with a younger child and self-reflecting together with them and helping them do that would be much more appropriate. And then this just, so you can, and then also talks about like not having too many goals. And obviously the older they are, the more goals they can have. The site is super helpful. As you can see, like they have a little button here that tells out how many people found this helpful, and you can vote too. So this site was super helpful in finding like different tools. Like I showed you, the parent or teacher contract, the visual aids, and then the just the tips and tools they offer. So yeah, understood.org was a great site, and I would definitely use it in the future.